Chapter 44. Panic among the Kauravas. Duryodhana had risen early on the day of the assembly. He knew Sanjaya was going to deliver Yudhishthir's message. After performing his morning ablutions and receiving the worship and praise of the palace brahmanas and bards, the prince met with Shakuni and Karna. He expressed his determination not to return the Pandavas their kingdom. His friends agreed and cheered him. They encouraged Duryodhana to remain firm, assuring him that his old father, bound by ties of affection, would not force Duryodhana to return Indraprastha if Duryodhana remained resolute. And as they were speaking, the three men slowly made their way to the assembly hall, which shone like the Himavat mountain in the early morning sunlight. Dhritarashtra entered the hall at the head of all the other kings. Led by Vidura, Dhritarashtra made his way to the throne. The floor in the hall had been sprinkled lightly with perfumes and spread with flower petals. The kings took their places on seats made of carved ivory and wood, decorated with golden inlays and precious stones. And as they settled onto the silk cushions, they looked around to see who was present. Immediately surrounding Dhritarashtra were Vidura, Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, Shalya, Kritavarma, Jayadratha, Bhalika, Somadatta, Ashvatthama, as well as Duryodhana and his 100 brothers. The chamber, filled with so many heroes, seemed like a cave full of lions. The lustrous men, with their bright silks and golden ornaments, lit up the hall, appearing like an assembly of the gods. When everyone was seated, the doorkeeper announced that Sanjaya had arrived and was awaiting to deliver his message. Dhritarashtra gave permission for Sanjaya to enter the hall. With his gold earrings swinging, Sanjaya bowed at the feet of his master, and folding his palms, he faced the assembly and said, "O sons of Kuru, I have just returned from the Pandavas. Those virtuous men salute all of you, each according to your age and status. Hear now the messages they have sent through me." Sanjaya carefully relayed Yudhishthir's message exactly as he had heard it. "O kings, either the Kurus should return the Pandavas' kingdom, or even just 5 villages, or else there will be war." Dhritarashtra said nothing, but he looked pensive, and after some moments he said, "Now I wish to hear Arjuna's message, for it is from him that we faced the greatest danger. This friend of Krishna, Arjuna, is immeasurably powerful and has suffered at our hands. Tell me, Sanjaya, what did Dhananjaya, the destroyer of sinful men, say?" Sanjaya bowed his head to the king and remained standing. These were the words of the wrathful Arjuna, who was so eager to fight and who, with reddened eyes, spoke in the presence of Yudhishthir and Krishna. Now, summoning the mood in which Arjuna had actually spoken, Sanjaya delivered the exact words. "Go, speak to Dhritarashtra's son in the midst of the Kurus, and within the hearing of the wicked-minded Karna, who always desires to fight, who speaks harshly, who has a dull intellect, and who is extremely ignorant. His time has now come. Speak also in the presence of those kings who have come from around the world to fight with us, the Pandavas. If Duryodhana does not surrender Yudhishthir's kingdom, then it is clear Duryodhana desires to pay for his former antagonism toward us, the Pandavas. So if he chooses battle, then our ends will be achieved. Tell him not to choose peace. Tell him to choose to fight with me and Bhima, Nakula and Sahadev, Satyaki and Drishtadyumna and Shikundi. Yes, I look forward to it. Although we have lain on a bed of woe these last 13 years, let Dhritarashtra's son, when he lies dead on the battlefield, obtain a bed of endless woe. He could never conquer the virtuous Yudhishthir in a fair fight. Therefore, he resorted to trickery and deceit. Pandu's eldest son, whose senses and mind are fully under control, has patiently endured all of his suffering. So now, when he directs his anger against the Kauravas, at that time Duryodhana will have cause to repent. Duryodhana sneered as Sanjaya continued. Arjuna described how he envisioned the war between them taking place. Just as a blazing fire in the summer consumes dried grass, so will the Kaurava army be consumed even by Yudhishthir's mere glance. When Duryodhana sees the ironclad Bhimasena on his chariot, mace in hand, and vomiting the venom of his wrath, then Duryodhana will repent this war. When that exceedingly vain one sees Bhima striking down elephants by the thousands, their warriors dispatched to the next world, then Duryodhana will repent. When Nakula comes down from his chariot, clutching his sword and demolishing warriors as if they were a field of corn, then will the wicked one repent. When Sahadev chops off the heads of kings with his well-aimed arrows, and when he finally encounters that vicious Shakuni, then Duryodhana will repent. And one by one, Arjuna mentioned all the great warriors who would fight on the side of the Pandavas, describing how they would wreak vengeance upon the Kauravas. Drishtadyumna would kill Drona Acharya, and Shikundi would slay Bhishma. Bhima had already vowed to slay Duryodhana and all of his 100 brothers. Arjuna would destroy warriors by the tens of thousands. Finally, Arjuna would kill Karna and his sons and followers. Arjuna painted a grim picture of the outcome of the war, which he saw ending in the total annihilation of Duryodhana and his forces. And at last, he spoke about Krishna. And I have selected Krishna as my charioteer in preference to Indra and his thunderbolt weapon. For if Krishna desires someone's victory, even if Krishna himself does not fight, that person cannot fail. So our victory will be easy. Whoever desires to overpower Krishna is like someone desiring to swim an unfathomable ocean, or to try to put out a blazing fire with one's own two hands, or even stop the sun and moon in their course through the heavens. Oh, that best of men, the Lord of all the worlds, has already slain demons more powerful than Duryodhana. Even the invincible Naraka, son of the earth, who could easily withstand the gods in battle, succumbed to Krishna's irresistible weapons. Yes, Duryodhana desires to defeat Krishna, who is the supreme Vishnu, either by capturing him or by winning him over to the Kaurava side. Ha! That fool will soon realize his ignorance. Through their spies, the Pandavas were well aware of the Kaurava's strategies. Arjuna knew that Duryodhana feared Krishna and was thinking of how to deal with him. That Kaurava prince even considered capturing Krishna when he would eventually come to Hastinapur on his peace mission. Arjuna ended his speech by describing the omens he saw. Without my touch, the Gandiva bow stretches. My arrows move out of their quiver on their own accord. My polished sword leaps from its scabbard. Near my banners I heard, "Oh, when will your chariot be yoked, O Kiriti?" At night, crowds of jackals howl gleefully, and vultures and crows descend from the sky. All these signs indicate carnage. These omens will prove true when I hurl my celestial weapons in the 10 directions. I will leave no trace of the Kaurava army. O Sanjaya, tell all of this to Duryodhana within the hearing of the king, Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, and the wise Vidura. I will surely act as these elders say. Let them check the evil Duryodhana, or let the war begin. The assembly hall was now silent. Duryodhana looked nonchalantly around the hall, smirking. Karna fumed, clutching his ivory-hilted sword. Seeing Duryodhana's indifference, Bhishma addressed him gravely. "O Prince, listen now as I recount an ancient history. Once all the gods went to visit Lord Brahma. Arriving at his abode, they saw 2 beautiful blazing personalities illuminating even that shining region by their splendor. Brahma told the gods that these 2 persons were Nara and Narayana rishis. They were forever practicing asceticism for the good of the 3 worlds, and they lived only to destroy the demons. So the gods had come to Brahma out of fear of the Asuras, and headed by Brihaspati, they approached those 2 rishis, begging that they help them defeat their enemies. Assisted by the invincible power of Narayana Rishi, the demigods triumphed over the demons. But now those 2 rishis among the gods have appeared as Krishna and Arjuna. Such is the general belief. Arjuna has already shown his prowess by slaying thousands of demons in the celestial realm. And the son of Vasudeva has also killed innumerable demons. Together they vanquished the gods at Kandava forest. And together they will now fight us." Bhishma looked penetratingly at Duryodhana, who moved uncomfortably on his throne. He did not want to hear about his enemy's power. Anyway, why should he worry? He thought of the assurances of the Danavas and remembered how they would possess his forces. Soon he would be seeing a different Bhishma, and soon the Pandavas would be facing an army more powerful than they had anticipated. Bhishma concluded his speech by saying, "Nara and Narayana repeatedly take birth in this world just to annihilate the miscreants and demons. It was Narada Rishi who told us all of this. O child, when you see these 2 seated on the same chariot, armed for battle, then you will remember my words. by desiring to fight with Krishna and Arjuna, you have lost sight of both virtue and profit. Do not encounter them in battle. If you ignore my advice, you will see your warriors all slain. But it seems that you only listen to the advice of 3 persons. Karna, who was the son of Vasudha, and who has been cursed by his own guru. You listen to the cunning Shakuni, and your small-minded brother Dushashan. Karna was already seething from Arjuna's speech. Now he was infuriated. Springing to his feet, Karna exclaimed, "It is unfair that you speak of me in such a way, O grandfather. I follow the Kshatriya's duties, and I have not abandoned virtue. Why do you always revile me? I wish only for the Kuru's good. Dhritarashtra's sons are honestly ruling the world. Why should they give the kingdom back to their enemies? To serve Dhritarashtra, I will slay the Pandavas in battle. Jai Ho!" Karna then took his seat. Bhishma looked at him sadly. Then, turning towards Dhritarashtra, Bhishma spoke. "O king, although this son of Vasudha brags of his power, he is not even 1/16 the part of the Pandavas. You should know that this fool is the one largely responsible for this calamity about to befall your sons. Encouraged by his empty promises, Duryodhana is ready to face Arjuna in battle. Your weak-brained son, depending upon this Karna, has insulted the Pandavas. What can this vain man achieve that is even approaching what Arjuna has already achieved? What did he do when Arjuna killed his brother in the fight against the Matsyas? And what did he do when your son was carried away by the Gandharvas? And yet Karna roars like a bull in this assembly. Ignorant of both virtue and profit, he simply speaks whatever comes to his mind." Bhishma then took his seat. Karna kept his head down and said nothing. Bhishma's words cut him deeply. Oh, he longed for the chance to prove Bhishma wrong. The sooner he could face Arjuna in battle, the better. It would be different this time. Indra's Shakti weapon would finally settle the dispute once and for all. Why had he not had it with him at Virat? Somehow it had not occurred to him to bring that weapon. He had not been expecting to meet Arjuna. Well, he would not make the same mistake twice. Then Bhishma would be silenced. Drona had been listening carefully to everything that had been said. Now, seeing his opportunity, Drona Acharya rose to speak. Facing Dhritarashtra, the old martial preceptor said, "O king, take heed of Bhishma's words and follow his advice. You should not let yourself be guided by those who covet wealth and who are slaves to their own desires. Peace with the Pandavas is without doubt the best course. What Arjuna has submitted to us through Sanjaya will surely come to pass if we fight against them. In all the 3 worlds, no one wields a bow like Sabyasachi." Drona, Bhishma, and Vidura each looked expectantly at Dhritarashtra. But the old king remained silent. Ignoring their advice, Dhritarashtra asked Sanjaya to repeat what the other Pandavas said. So what did the large-minded Yudhishthir say when he heard that we had amassed a huge army? And who was looking up to him for orders? And who was trying to dissuade him from war? Oh, that virtuous one, who was wronged by my wicked sons, what is he now planning? Having been seated while the others had been speaking, Sanjaya now came again to the center of the assembly. Yes, all of the Panchalas now look up to Yudhishthir, as well as the Matsyas and Kekais. All those tribes, down to the very last herdsman, are ready to do Yudhishthir's bidding. Clad in a coat of mail, he sits amid their chieftains like Indra amid the gods. Now, Sanjaya, tell me in detail more about Yudhishthir's forces. Also, please describe Dhristadyumna's army and the army of the Somakas. But as Sanjaya recalled the sight of those troops, he became stunned and fell silent. His mind now was overwhelmed with fear, and suddenly he fainted. Vidura said loudly, "Just see!" Recalling the mighty sons of Kunti and their assembled troops, Sanjaya has lost control of his senses. Why, he cannot even utter a word. Dhritarashtra then asked a servant to sprinkle cool water on Sanjaya's face. But Vidura repeated, "The sight of the tigers among men has filled him with terror. Console him with comforting words, O king, and let him continue his report once his mind becomes peaceful." After some moments, Sanjaya came back to his senses. Reassured by Dhritarashtra, he drank some water and stood again to address the assembly. "O great king, I have seen those mighty heroes, arrayed in armor like a pack of angry lions. At their head stands the ever-truthful Yudhishthir, who never departs from virtue out of desire or fear. He is ready to fight even the gods if need be. By his side stands the terrible Bhimasena, whose strength equals that of 10,000 elephants, and who has slain Rakshasas with his bare hands. Bhima brought down the powerful Yakshas on Gandhamadana mountain, and it was Bhima who slew Kichak and all of his followers. And then there is Arjuna, whose glories have already been described, and who is fired with wrath. Repeatedly he is bending his Gandiva bow and uttering war cries. It was he who satisfied the immortal Lord Shiva in a fight, and was thus given celestial weapons. Next, Madri's two sons, the powerful twins, stand ready with their terrible weapons, breathing hot and heavy sighs. Sanjaya spoke of all the principal warriors on the side of the Pandavas. He mentioned Shikandi, who, according to prophecy, was destined to kill Bhishma, and Dhristadyumna, destined to kill Drona Acharya. And as Sanjaya named the many great heroes aligned against the Kauravas, Duryodhana and Karna scoffed. Dhritarashtra, however, became fearful. When Sanjaya stopped speaking, The king began to address the assembly. O Sanjaya, all those you have named are powerful and courageous fighters, but Bhima is equal to all of them. It is he who gives me the greatest fear. We are like deer facing an enraged and hungry tiger. Many a night have I remained sleepless, thinking about that furious Bhima rushing at my sons with mace in hand. I do not see anyone in our army who can face Bhimasena. When wrathful, he is a most relentless foe who tears through the battlefield like a tornado. Bhima will surely put an end to my wicked sons. Seeing him advance towards them, they will meet with a calamity equal to meeting the god of death wielding his staff. Bhima will roam among my sons, just as a fully grown lion roams among a herd of deer. From his very childhood, he has been inimical to Duryodhana and his brothers. Now, finding the opportunity on the battlefield, Bhima will not hesitate to annihilate all of them. O Sanjaya, it is only by good fortune that Bhima has not already killed my sons for the wrongs they have inflicted upon him and his brothers. Dhritarashtra went on to describe the threat Bhima posed to his sons. Sweat ran down his face, and he clenched his fists as he spoke. Bhima's vow to kill his sons gave him the greatest anxiety. The kings and ministers in the hall looked at Dhritarashtra with pity as he concluded his speech. Ah, destiny is surely all-powerful. For even though I see my son's inevitable demise, still I do not dissuade them from their aims. Because they all desire to traverse the eternal, noble, and heavenly path, they will part with their lives in battle and ensure their everlasting fame on this earth. Perhaps our only hope lies now in the support of our three aged wise heroes, Bhishma, Drona, and Kripa. They will doubtlessly repay the support and kindness we have given them by coming out for battle against the Pandavas. Even though the sons of Kunti are as dear to them as my sons, they will not avoid their duty. For the Kshatriya to meet death in the line of duty is commendable. It leads to glorious regions of bliss. O Sanjaya, it does seem to me that knowledge does not destroy woe. Rather, distress destroys knowledge. As I contemplate the impending destruction of the Kurus, grief bewilders my senses and confounds my mind. Oh, I cannot let go of the attachment for my sons, kingdom, wife, grandsons, and 1,000 other things. Indeed, such blind attachment leads only to suffering. Bhishma and Vidura looked at Dhritarashtra in despair. He could clearly understand what would happen should they fight the Pandavas, but still, he would not save the situation. All he had to do was give his sons the order to cease hostilities, and the war would be finished even before it began. Although Duryodhana officiated as the monarch, his father still occupied the throne as head of state. If the king ordered the prince to make peace with the Pandavas, he would have to obey. But Dhritarashtra showed no signs of giving such an order. He seemed resigned to actualize the death and destruction of everyone and everything he held dear. The two ministers looked at each other hopelessly as the king continued on. This great calamity the Kurus now face owes its very existence to the dice game. My son is at fault because he is filled with avarice. This is the work of eternal time. Bound by time, I am helpless in the face of my own ruination. Oh, what can I do? Where will I go? Oh, Sanjaya, the foolish Kurus will all be killed by time, and there is nothing I can do about it. I will hear news of my 100 sons dying, and then I will hear the loud wailing of women. Only I will be left alive. How will death touch me? As a raging fire consumes a dry forest, so Bhima and Arjuna will consume my entire army. The king then described Arjuna's prowess, whom he considered no less a danger than Bhima. He knew Arjuna was truthful and would not kill any of his sons out of respect for Bhima's vow. But Arjuna would certainly not restrain himself with the rest of the Kaurava forces. Although I think about it day and night, I do not see a warrior on earth who can stand against the Gandiva bow. Dhritarashtra's voice was almost choking. Some may think that either Karna or Drona can withstand Arjuna, but I do not share that view. Karna is careless and passionate, and the preceptor Drona is old and weakened by affection for Arjuna. No one can kill Arjuna, nor will battle with him result in anything but Arjuna's victory. The authorities have assured us of this truth, and the Kurus have witnessed his strength with their own eyes. With Keshava guiding his chariot and the Gandiva in his hand, Arjuna will be irresistible in battle. The fools under Duryodhana's control do not know this. When a thunderbolt falls on one's head, something may be left behind. But when Arjuna's arrows fall on one's head, nothing will be left behind. Why, I can see him now within my mind's eye, coursing through our troops, his arrows flying in all directions, beheading countless warriors. Could anyone face the combined might of Arjuna and Bhima and survive? Whomever Providence wills to be destroyed will not escape. Alas, the time for the destruction of the Kurus is imminent. Dhritarashtra fell silent. If his sons were destined to die, then it would come to pass. But perhaps destiny would dictate some other outcome. After all, who could have foreseen the noble Pandavas would have to give up their kingdom and enter the forest? So maybe their victory was not so certain. But the king hardly dared to hope for his own victory. How could the Pandavas be overcome while they were supported by that unfathomable Krishna? Repeatedly weeping and sighing, Dhritarashtra said, "Although you have told me of the Pandavas' powerful forces, there is one who equals all of them and even more. Why, that mighty one could, by his desire alone, bring all the worlds under his control. And that person is Krishna. He seems to have set his mind on the Pandavas' victory. It seems hopeless for my party. Oh, my heart quakes as I think of Yudhishthir's wrath, Bhima's prowess, the strength of Arjuna and the twins, and Krishna's inconceivable powers. What fool, desiring his own death, would fall like a moth into the inextinguishable fire of the Pandavas? We have treated those heroes deceitfully, and now, as a result, my sons will have to die. O Kurus, do not fight! If you wage war, then our race will be annihilated. Let us seek peace. Yudhishthir will not disregard me, especially upon seeing my distress. The king trailed off in tears. The rest of the assembly regarded him silently. What could anyone say? Dhritarashtra had said nothing about giving back Yudhishthir's kingdom, so his desire for peace was but an empty hope born out of fear. For he would not pay the price to bring peace. War was most certain. Again, Sanjaya approached the assembly, his hands clasped, and spoke. O great king, it will be exactly as you say. The Kshatriyas will be destroyed by the Gandiva bow. That is obvious. But I cannot understand how you, who can clearly see the truth, will still allow yourself to be controlled by your sons. This is not the time to give way to grief. It is your fault alone which has caused this disaster. You have neglected the Pandavas, who are like your own sons, and you have treated them harshly. Sitting in the gambling arena, you called out like a child. Oh, what has been won? What has been won? See now what you have won. Laugh now as you did then, O king. Now you must face the vengeful Pandavas and their friend, the Lord of all beings, Sri Krishna. The Kauravas are about to sink like a holed boat in a shoreless ocean. Your hope for victory arises only out of madness. Whoever despises the Pandavas will be destroyed. It is not proper that you now grieve, O Bharata. You have had ample opportunity to prevent this calamity, but repeatedly you ignored all of the good advice that was given to you. Your lamentation is useless, O chief among kings. Sanjaya then returned to his seat at the foot of the kings and ministers. Dhritarashtra just shook his head, tears running down his face and falling into his beard. Vasudeva Paraveda Vasudeva Paramukha Vasudeva Parayoga Vasudeva Parakriyaha Vasudeva Parangjanam Vasudeva Parangtapaha Vasudeva Paradharmo Vasudeva Paragatiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna Govinda Hari Murari, He Natha Narayana Vasudeva. Shri Krishna Govinda Hari Murari, He Natha Narayana Vasudeva. Shri Krishna Govinda Hari Murari, He Natha Narayana Vasudeva. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.